Hey there, everybody. Big Mike Sports here with you once again. Atlanta born, Carolina raised, Detroit driven. I'm your host, as always, Big Mike
The
himself.
one and only. Yeah, I'm back.
And it was a pretty wild game last night as the Braves somehow managed to stave off certain disaster in the finish to their season as they pulled out a improbable victory against the Phillies 5-4. Played hard up until the very end. The best part came at the very end for the Braves, basically, because the Phillies had a 92.1% chance to win in the bottom of the sixth inning, and the Braves were even no hit for a while. A really good game from Zach Wheeler. He's a really good pitcher. Career day. We'll get into the kind of connections that led to the Phillies' downfall in just a sec, but the Braves used some voodoo to win. They looked like they were done, like toast, especially after the result from Game 1 going down in that game 3-0, and then getting blanked for the majority of this game as well. It looked like the Braves just did not have anything. Um, but then some breaks fell their way, including a incredibly, just absolutely wild final game ending double play off of a Mike Harris catch at the wall in center field, and then throwing the ball to first base to catch Bryce Harper, who did not tag. And that's what ended the game with the double play. Poetic ending, as we got to see Bryce Harper get shot down to end the game. Perhaps, a little bit of pride on the line as well with him trying to, make a huge play for the Phillies to kind of give them the win. So really nice to see Bryce Harper go down like that. We are not Bryce Harper fans here. But if they lost, if the Braves had lost and they had to go back to Philly, it would have been over. Like, clean sweep. There would have been nothing that they could have done because that Philly crowd and that stadium is just absolutely insane with the fans and how they are and just how behind this team they are. And I mean, the whole reason that the Phillies are in this kind of form late in the year is because of the fans. Because I don't know if you know the story, but the fans like sang or chanted to Trey Turner or something on one of his at bats, and that's what kind of sparked the season because the Phillies were kind of in a bit of a dump early in the year, but they were able to turn around off of the play of Trey Turner, and everything just kind of followed that. So the fans are way behind the Phillies. Philadelphia fans, as everybody knows, are some of the most rabid out there, some of the most passionate. And the Braves lineup kind of gets a little bit of mojo back here in this game. They did have some lucky breaks, like we said, especially Acuna scoring on an error for that first run of the game off the first hit by Albies as well. It kind of sparked the lineup a little bit. So they'll definitely have to do a little better and use this as a start to kind of maybe kickstart a nice offensive run because this was, after all, one of the best offenses in MLB history, if not the best, over the course of the season. And the Phillies came into this game on a super hot start. They started the postseason 3-0. They had a nice run to end the year. The Braves, I don't want to say limped into the postseason, but they were not playing their strongest at the end of the year. So they kind of have to play on the fly a little bit, get it all back together to kind of go on a little run here to get their postseason really going. So yeah, it'll be really crucial for the lineup to be able to show up like that in enemy territory. Um, the Braves didn't necessarily come storming into the postseason, so yeah, they'll need to manufacture some momentum with a solid performance in that game tomorrow. And then the big downfall for Wheeler in this game. It was a great day for him, career day. A lot of strikeouts, at least 9. I don't know how many he ended up with, but 9 was like a career high for him in a postseason game or something like that. But d'Arnaud ended up hitting a 2-run bomb off of Wheeler to really get the scoring going for the Braves. Wheeler is a pitcher who d'Arnaud has hit off of really well over the course of his career, and they used to be a pitching catching tandem up in New York. So really, really kind of poetic victory for the Braves in every way because of that d'Arnaud thing and the way that Bryce Harper got thrown out of the game. The game tomorrow is an absolute toss-up, according to the ESPN matchup predictor. A 50.5% chance for the Braves to win that game compared to 49.5%. Still don't know who the pitcher is going to be, but it looks like Aaron Nola is going for the Phillies. Over under is 9 runs, and Philly, the minus 130 favorite in this game. The betting pick here is definitely Braves money line. maybe like Braves plus 110, 115, something like that. I think that's a good bet. Or maybe even a Braves reverse run line, a Braves minus 1.5 runs. You probably get some pretty good odds on that. I just, we hope to think anyway that this will be the big turnaround for the Braves, and maybe they'll really come out of their shell in terms of the lineup, and the pitching will do just enough to be able to come out with a win there. Not the greatest, start for the pitching, but in the end, the Braves were able to score more runs than the Phillies on fewer hits, though. The Braves scored 5 runs off of only 4 hits. The Phillies with 9 hits. So the Phillies kind of stranding some guys on the bases, and the Braves basically scored whoever they managed to get on base, I guess. So we'll see if they'll be able to keep that sort of offense up. Hopefully, the Braves will kind of flip the script on that and get, maybe close to double-digit hits in the game. This lineup is way too potent to be silent for 3 games in a row or so. So really confident in the Braves now. Really hoping that they'll be able to turn the tide and really flip the script on the Phillies and go into the next series with a little bit of momentum, hopefully on their way to a World Series run. So keep an eye on the Braves. Need that lineup to wake up. Need the pitching to keep being solid, and they'll be able to get there for sure. And then later tonight, well, it'll probably be on about the time that this episode gets posted. But anyway, it's a game that we've kind of been looking forward to for a while over the course of the season, and that is when the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers come up to Boone to play the App State Mountaineers. This is a matchup that's been pretty tricky for either side. They've been kind of trading blows over the first few years that they've been playing, and now that both are in the Sun Belt. Not as much luster in this matchup as in years previous, though, because of Jamie Chadwell, the former Coastal Carolina head coach, now coaching at Liberty. And his offense is just so much fun. It's just out of this world. His kind of take on the spread option offense, even putting in some like air raid kind of qualities in the offense, really was just able to do everything. But now that Chadwell is gone, phenom quarterback for Coastal Carolina, Grayson McCall, just not really looking the same. Throwing a lot of interceptions this season after hardly throwing any in his first few seasons under Chadwell there. The Coastal Carolina comes in on a little bit of a slide, 2-3 right now. They had some pretty tough losses. App State, kind of a mixed bag in certain ways, coming in 3-2 themselves. They came off of a really super clutch victory against UL Monroe last week, 41-40. Really not the kind of performance you want to see out of App State necessarily. Um, it's just how they've been the past years, having to play down to UL Monroe like that and having to come back at the last second. It was also possible that App State went down 10 points to UL Monroe at the end of that game, but then they fumbled at the goal line. The Warhawks did to kind of give App State a chance there. So really not the kind of look that you want there, but it's been kind of an up and down season for the Mountaineers. Hopefully they'll be able to get their season going a little bit more with a kind of emotional high win over the Coastal Carolina, because this team has been kind of a thorn in their side back when both teams had really high championship aspirations in this Fun Belt Conference. But App State is definitely going to need a little spark to get their season back going the way that we're kind of used to, because it's going to be a really super tough November for the Mountaineers. They have this matchup, which they should be able to win at Old Dominion, and then versus Southern Miss homecoming October 28th to finish out the month of October. But then November starts with a bang, because they'll be at home against Marshall, at Georgia State, at James Madison, and then finally to finish the year at home against Georgia Southern. And every single one of those teams that they will end up playing in November are either undefeated or one loss at time of recording, and or App State has had problems with in the past, especially James Madison and Georgia Southern. Georgia Southern playing the Mountaineers at home, well, in Boone, rather, never a good sign for the Mountaineers for whatever reason. Even during the greatest App State seasons in recent memory, Georgia Southern has been able to come in and completely spoil it. App State at home, not always the big favorite that you want them to be. They seem to do a lot better against the really good ranked teams on the road, because I guess they kind of show up for it more. but at home with a lot on the line, they haven't necessarily won all those games. Seems to be like heartbreak disappointment at the end of the year there for the Mountaineers in Boone. Just getting too high emotionally, maybe. I'm not sure what the issue is there, but no better time to turn it around than now. We'll have to see what happens in November for the Mountaineers, as that entire run is just really difficult. Georgia State, I don't think that App State has ever lost to them while both teams have been up in this division, but Georgia State still has a really good team. They've been turning some heads this year, playing really well. So it'll be an interesting test in that one. But yeah, super tough November for App State. The way that they pull through that month will definitely show what this team is made of, both this season and in the years moving forward, as guys like Joey Aguilar, the freshman quarterback for App State, kind of step into the rest of their career and kind of set the tone for how it'll be the next few years under head coach Sean Clark. Always a tough team, always a team that's going to stay in the game. That's just something that is endemic to App State's football program itself, but also with Sean Clark. He's a coach that's been there for a long time as an assistant, and now in his I can't remember. It's like second or third year as head coach. I don't know. It's been at least a couple seasons. But yeah, huge test for the Mountaineers coming up. Uh, Really, kind of moral victory to be able to stamp out Coastal right now while they're down. You definitely don't want Coastal coming into town and beating you in the state that they're in right now. But you got to be careful.
Like a glove?
Now, you certainly don't want to get too high or too low on any one matchup or any one team as you go through the season. But the November, I mean, you definitely want to win at least one of those games. I don't know which one you win. Maybe at Georgia State. Perhaps you could win at home against Marshall. Marshall's not the best team now. They still have that really good defense, but they're not how they were a year or two ago. Maybe you win at James Madison. I don't know. That's going to be a super tough game as well. James Madison has done really, really well at this level so far in their young tenure in this division. And I really hope that they beat Georgia Southern at home on November 25th. That's one that you have to win. I mean, I remember a couple victories against Georgia Southern back when they were pretty bad, still running that flex bone offense. They came into town a couple times, and App State was able to handle them pretty well. But I feel like it's like maybe 3 out of the last 5 years Georgia Southern was able to beat App State in some really high leverage games. Never forget in 2019, I believe it was, when App State went 12-1. That one loss being to Georgia Southern at home, perhaps the best season that App State's ever had at the top level under Drinkwitz back before he scrambled to go to Missouri and do whatever he's doing now. So really, really huge rivalry game there to finish out the year. And who knows, depending on how the season goes the rest of the way for the Mountaineers, that could be a game that depends on whether you go to a bowl game. And I know that App State has a really proud tradition so far of making it to bowl games almost every year, if not every year that they've been in this top level. And they make a big deal out of winning those bowl games as well. So really, really high leverage situations for the Mountaineers. Really want to start a good run here with a win over Coastal, though.
I don't know if I'm going to be putting on this headset again.
Yeah, so that'll do it for today. How about that Japanese baseball phenom skipping playing professional Japanese baseball to join a college baseball team here in the U.S.? I wonder what the deal with that is, whether he just wants to come over and have the American college experience or whatever, maybe have it as a nice little bridge to the MLB. I don't know which one's more lucrative, honestly. I don't know how much they make in professional Japanese baseball, but it's got to be a decent amount. And of course, prospects here in the MLB in America don't necessarily make a whole lot in the very beginning of their careers. So kind of an interesting move. Maybe he's just trying to be the next Shohei. Who knows? But yeah, thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll see you next time.